Sorry about that, bros. I was collecting my Cree check, and that we blew our numbers. Well, when you start at 0, it's pretty easy to beat the numbers. So we sold like $100,000 worth of Cree lights. We should have sold $1.5 million, but we don't have any. So hopefully throughout this year, the Cree supply will go upward, and we're going to start selling all kinds of lighting stuff. It's going to be great. It's going to be really great. So, but the Cree LS fixtures are like the standard. They're so freaking good. As soon as we can get those in stock, I mean, everyone in their garage should do them. I mean, they're about what $100 more than the regular OG lights, which are pretty good. But these, I've always said, you can even read the description. The OG lights, I've said they're not the end all be all. They're good. These are what I've been searching for forever.
And then that's the most recent video we have here, I think, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Mike F. installing them at your house?
Yeah, so we did them in Helen. We did them at my house here. We did them at the house. We did a little different lights at the house in Harbor Hills. We did them at HQ. They're not in this office, but they're in, the various areas here. They're so good. They're Cree LS, and we have them on, in the store. But if you need some help with designing and control, we can do either RA2 or Lutron Vive, so we have some control, and getting your switches all dialed in is freaking awesome.
Let's see here. We got some questions to start out with. Hey, guys. This is from Matt Hune in the chat. Have a quick detailing question. Is there a chart somewhere on the OG site that lists least to most aggressive pad/polish combination?
No,
there's not.
It's really pretty simple. I mean, I dumb it down to 2 pads. I mean, you really only need 2, and then you can add some supplements in the wool. So let's just add the wool. Let's say there's 4 pads. So most aggressive is wool, the blue wool, the coarse wool. Next aggressive in the pad realm would be microfiber cutting. Then you would do medium or yellow wool, and then yellow foam, and then white foam if you wanted to go, really add the fifth type of pad. So then polishes, Cut Max would be most aggressive, the Jescar would be next, and Sonex Perfect Finish would be least. So really pretty simple. And so then I really only use Perfect Finish with either the white pad or the yellow pad, generally the yellow foam pad. And then you can choose Jescar on the 3 different, either yellow wool, microfiber, or blue, coarse. But that's a good idea to make a chart. Simple chart on that would probably be a good idea to do.
Let's see. This from Kevin Hawthorne, our buddy in Lakeland, Florida, says hello. Hey, Kevin, come visit sometime. David Espinoza, I didn't know this. Did you know this? He says bad timing. He's got to go watch Argentina versus the Netherlands in the World Cup instead of listen to us.
It's a waste of time.
I bet it's 0-0.
And it'll probably be close to that, yeah.
0-0, 23 minutes in. Yeah, who'd have guessed?
So stupid. Shrink the field. Yeah. Get rid of offsides, and just let them frickin' score. So dumb, The whole thing is dumb.
Who else?
Crap.
Our Snad says hello from Hilton Head, South Carolina. Our buddy Brad up in the Pacific Northwest checking in. Good afternoon from Lake Bowen, South Carolina, says Tim. Just GT3 content today, fellas. Everybody is wanting to know more about your GT3.
I just shot a couple of videos. I'm starting to dig into it. I was planning on waiting for the E36 I don't want to cannibalize the E36's potential. But I think we figured out how to do it. I'm going to advertise the heck out of the E36 while we're doing the GT3. I don't want to sit on the $300,000 that I'm going to have to spend that I've spent on this thing, or going to spend on this thing for an entire year. So I want to do it. I want to create a deadline and get this thing done and do the giveaway in June. And so I'm going to have to send the car to different places to do certain things. I might have to get some paint done. We're likely going to send it to Seattle and do some videos with Charles Dundon, and so. I need to get rolling and start, making sure I have parts on order and things like that if I want to do the June giveaway. So you'll see a bunch of videos come out. Also, maybe we can link in the comments here. I've started a journal again.
Renlist?
Yeah, I'm going to do a Renlist journal, and I may transpose that over to 6 Speed Online as well. And then I'm going to try to find and I may share it in our Facebook group, each one of my various write-ups, and then possibly, find like the big 997 Facebook group, whatever that is. But I'm going to share the build process like I did back in the old days of every square inch of it, work my way through it. So, the car, needs a few things, and then I'm going to likely have to rebuild the transmission as well. We'll talk about that coming up here. But the car's going to be really nice. I mean, it's right now it's okay. And I think at the end of this is going to be really, really nice. So, for a 30,000 mile car.
All right, our buddy, that bearded veteran, wants to know: is the bulk 5-liter invisible glass coming back? I don't know. I think we stopped carrying that because it was such a pain to ship, because it's basically flammable and hazmat, and we do 5 liters. That creates some issues. So probably not bearded veteran, but I'll let you know if we change that. Demand 18729: does the new GT3 change direction with the new GT3 Touring that you had coming?
No. The Touring is my car. This 997 is a giveaway car. It's a car that I'm intending to. What I'm hoping. So in a perfect world, what would happen is, the Touring's going to be here in a few weeks, and the Touring will be my car. I'll take my time with that. I can enjoy that, keep that, for a while, unless somebody makes me a crazy offer, I'd be willing to sell it. But I don't think that's going to happen. So I'm going to have the Touring. That's what I've always intended to have, like a streetable, very simple, wingless GT car. And then the 997 RS, what I'm hoping in a perfect world, that this one slays and makes $1 zillion and gets me the ability to then buy a $300-something thousand GT3 RS that has 1,200 miles on it or something like that. That I would then keep next to my E92 and kind of drive it once a week or something like that. And that in a perfect world is how this would go. In a utopian world, I would make enough money to buy like an $800,000 RS 4.0. So I don't think that's going to happen, but I'm going to try. I'm trying my darn best to share it with the world, and I'm going to try to call Car and Driver and Motor Trend, however you do that, and try to get it to go as viral as I possibly can, because giving away a car like this is pretty gnarly.
Michael Taylor wants to know: is there a preferred lighting solution for the closet?
It depends on your setup. I mean, generally in the closet, I prefer to do can lights. So you do DMF or CR6T from Cree. Another option, if you don't let's say you already had fluorescence there, and a can wasn't already in place, I would swap those fluorescent fixtures out for a what are they called? DMF has them. It's a linear fixture from DMF. I forget what the model number is. But they have a 12-inch linear-looking fixture, but you need a J box, a junction box, for them to go into. Those will be that's what I put in like my laundry room, but those are what I plan to do in closets. For the actual closet light, like if you wanted to line the cabinets or the custom closets. You could do something like the Look line from Hafele, L-O-O-K, I believe. It's maybe an L-O-K-E or something like that. But Hafele has a whole line. I haven't really dug into it yet.
Looks.
Yeah, Looks or L-O-O-X. Yeah, that's it. Looks. I haven't dug too much into it. It's not super simple. But the overhead lighting, you want to try to do cans if you can. If possible.
There you go. That's what you're talking about.
Yep. Looks 5. Loox 5.
Christopher Prue wants to know: do you plan on adding any more labels to the press all line for those of us that work on stinky old cars, such as degreaser, carpet upholstery cleaner?
I mean, we need a whole label line that works really well, and the ones that we have are real pretty, but they don't stick well enough. So we've got some work to do. It's on the docket.
Chris Driggett wants to know. He says, the nozzle outlet for my shrouded pressure washer tip is rusting. What's the best way to clean and prevent?
It's probably not the nozzle outlet. It's the water, has rust that's coming through your system. So just slice some WD-40 on there or something. But that nozzle is likely not rusting. It's just the rusty water coming from your internal components coming through your line.
Jack Hay wants to know, hey Matt, what do you think of using the Ely reel for a pressure washer hose instead of the usual Cox? I much prefer the look of the Ely.
They don't have a pressure washer connection for it, so there's not really any way to do it.
Kevin Crane wants to know, did you ever see the Moto Man TV review of the 992 GTS? There's an OG Easter egg.
No.
I just looked it up. Where you go? We'll find it later.
Yeah, I don't watch car reviews.
Stephen Mulhall says, I would love more options on more labels to the press line, like H2O, etc.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see. Any updates on updated Ultimate polishing kits? D-Man wants to know.
No updates. Yeah, you guys are stressing me out. We got a lot of things to do.
The short list keeps getting longer.
Yeah, it's a really long short list. Yeah.
Kevin Nickens says, just got my first job out of college. So I got PSB P5s, and they rip. Really appreciate an entry-level OG solutions. Got an SVS sub question. SB 2000 or Micro 3000? What's the best sub without going nuts?
Yeah, 2000 is the Micro is only if you have a space constraint. It's nice, but the SB 2000 is way better.
Mikey wants to know, how is your original K1122 TST been holding up, and what happened to it?
I don't know where that is. Did I give that to Jeff?
Yeah, I think Matt Duffy chimed in and said, I think Jeff has it. So, yeah, Jeff has it, and he's still using it.
Yeah, he uses it all the time. It's fine. Yep.
And how old is that thing now?
I probably bought it in 2012. So, 12 years old, something like that.
10 years old.
Yeah, I didn't change the oil in it for the first 8 years. I didn't do anything to it. I did a seal kit, and I didn't even need to do it. I just did it for the video. So, yeah, super stout.
Let's see. Jeff C. wants to know, does Mike have the tandem Krensla setup functioning yet? I'm anxious to see the results.
He's working on it right now.
Right this second, actually.
Yep.
For your G80 M3, Meguiar's M18 plastic detailer is amazing for the touch screens. You should try it out.
I generally just use the little glass cleaner, spray it on a waffle weave, and wipe it super soft.
Eric Sutherland wants to know, is your dog named after the Chase, or is that just a coincidence?
Who's that?
Meaning like your Chase. You're always chasing something.
No, I didn't name that frickin' dog.
Who named the dog?
I have no idea. I don't know if Michelle, I think it was already named that when we got him. Yeah, I don't know.
AFH says, hey Matt, I bought the Active 2.0 Ultimate Bundle on Black Friday, and I couldn't be happier. Thanks for sourcing everything. 20 years of washing with a garden hose is now over.
Yeah, I saw a couple questions of people like asking about orders and, hey, is it normal for it to take this long? This is like the 2 weeks of the year. It takes a little longer for orders to get out, but they're working like crazy over there. I think we're almost caught up, aren't we?
We're mostly caught up. We have a few items that we sold way more of than we thought we would.
Yeah.
So
they're catch up. Stuff's coming in, yeah. But like we're almost caught up to like the daily orders. Like if you order today, that should probably go out today.
Jeff Silva wants to know, do you only coat wheels after tire and wheel weights are mounted? If not, how do you prep the wheel barrel surface to remove coatings for the wheel weight adhesion?
Yeah, I mean, you should. You should wait to coat them. Otherwise, you've got to polish the area you're going to put the wheel weight on, and it's going to likely fall off. So, yeah, I always end up doing them after. It's just much, much easier. Plus, they make a big mess, so you got to clean it up and get all the soap and stuff off.
MB says, this is the Dialed In podcast with Chris and Toby Flenderson. Get a haircut, Matt. Looking not so dialed in.
Yeah, I need to do that. Ryan's
on the short list, too.
This weekend for sure.
All right, let's see. Run by the lawyer. Here, Ben Finner, I guess this is something with regard to a giveaway. Option in shopping cart to add 20% to order.
Yep.
Forgo the return capability. 20 extra % goes towards entry into current giveaway. Details to work, but seems plausible.
Yeah, that's what I told the guys. Bryce is working on that to add 10, 20, 30, 40, 50%, whatever percentage you'd like to add. That way you could go in and buy your regular stuff. It doesn't cannibalize sales. And I can generate the profitability to take care of the whole thing. I'm pretty sure we can do it legally. And I don't know if it was him that suggested, but several people have suggested that, and I love that idea. That you, in your cart, let's say you're buying Cree lights, it's $1,200. You have option to add 10% to your cart, 5% to your cart, 25% to your cart, whatever percentage you want. and you can add it, and every $5 that you add goes toward giveaway entries for the car. I love that idea.
That's a good idea. Xantonin says, hey, Matt, can you discuss the benefits of having the Cree lights parallel or perpendicular to the door?
Yeah, there really is no advantage one way or the other. I usually like to have them parallel to the door, but now I'm just completely changed. I went in there and fought the guys and said, I don't want them that way. I want them straight. I want them straight. I think a parallel. Well, in most garages, depending on how your attic access is set up, depending on where things are on the ceiling, where your garage doors, or the tracks are set up, it may be better to run them, perpendicular to the garage door. So long ways, or deep ways, if you from garage door to back wall. And so we did a line running horizontally where the cabinet array would be. And the reason I wanted to do that was that oftentimes I'll have just that light on, the one on that goes going to go right above the countertop. And then I ran perpendicular to that. We ran the other setup. It just we couldn't get a symmetrical setup because of the attic, the big attic door. I've got the attic lift, and then the garage door tracks, so we couldn't get it to look somewhat decent. So running it vertically actually worked really well.
All right, T-Jin Arkin has a question for you. I can empathize with you here. I have an AR630, a Cox hose reel, OG gun hose wand setup. I currently have it all mounted to a rolling cart after being inspired by a post in the Facebook group. However, I want it all wall mounted, but I don't have the skills. What should I do?
You need a plumber and electrician, right? So you could probably talk of one or the other into putting blocking in for you. So technically you need a plumber, an electrician, and a drywall person. So what you'd want to do is have the electrician come and run the electrical for it. Then, unless you just happen to have an outlet where you wanted it, electrician to come do the outlet. He'll cut up the drywall and do whatever you need to do. Then you'd have a plumber come in and run the plumbing and cut up the drywall and do whatever he needs to do. After that, then you'd have the drywall guy. You have a drywall guy to come and fix the drywall and put blocking in. Then the plumber would come back and likely do the install for you. Or find somebody who knows how to do all those things. Do it that way.
Get yourself a Mike F in your life. Nate wants to know.
But I did the HQ here before Mike, and I had the who did I had the drywall guy do the blocking and all that. And I had an electrician come in, put the outlet in, and then I had the plumber, and the plumber installed the whole thing. So he did all the rest of the install.
This is reminding me. So T-Jin, there's actually, if you search on the channel, you and Troy Sowers did it at his house, and neither one of them were super confident because there were some issues going on there that they had to address. So that might be good to help as well. Check that out. It's fun to watch.
Me did it, not me and Troy Sowers. Troy didn't do jack.
Nate wants to know, hey Matt, how would you go about running a hose bib to the inside of the garage on a block house?
You just have to run the plumbing on the exterior or interior of the wall. So you'd have to find water like we did, like at Helen. We had a hose bib that was on the wall. So we cut the drywall, tapped, turned the water off, teed off of that, and then we actually ran Prevost lines on the surface of the wall. If you've got an area where you're freezing, you can't just run water across the outside of the house. So you have to take that into consideration. You need to insulate it. So that's where, again, plumber comes in.
All right, George up in Long Island says he just got out of therapy for losing the M2 CS giveaway. Let's know, do we have any updates on it? I haven't heard anything.
No. Yeah, it's good. He told me he was planning to keep the OG one and sell his. So we'll see.
Christopher Dede wants to know, is there an ETA on the Gentleman Spec GT3?
It should be landing in the U.S. soon. If it hasn't, I purposely am not tracking it. I don't want to know. I just want it to show up one day. It'd be great.
Jeffrey Hutchins says, I'm officially current on Heartland. Only 5 episodes left in season 16.
Nice.
It's Mormon approved, so I should have known it would be good.
You have to start over and then watch it again. It's better the second time. I wish I could unsee it. Start over. I'm in my 10th round. I'm on season 6 now, halfway through season 6 of round 10. Just background, background listening. Like I think yesterday I was writing. I had to write all the descriptions for the cars for the book we're making for the E36 giveaway, and then I was writing and setting up and getting prepped to do the to start the journal, and on Renlist, and so I watched probably 12 episodes in a day, something like that.
All right, our buddy Spencer, super chat, $9.99 US. Matt, have you tried G-Technic Perfect Glass?
No, I haven't.
All right. Also, were you able to get another bottle of EXO version 5 for the G80?
I believe it or not, I did the whole E36 V5, and then I did the whole G80 with that same bottle. So I did 2 cars with a single bottle. Yeah, and the glass too on all of them.
You like it better than before?
Yeah. So Michelle came into the office yesterday, and I was watching Heartland, writing, an article.
Car stuff, yeah.
Editing photos for the article, and I had a YouTube video on watching the Liver King's confession of his steroid use on Flagrant 2, and she's like, what is going on here? So I'm listening, watching a podcast, watching a show, and writing descriptions.
Good stuff. Lastly, just finished my office today using vinyl tracks and absolutely love it.
Nice.
Yeah, he asked us about that a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Caleb wants to know, hey, Matt, are you taking the RS back to the white gold it originally came with?
No. I decided to stay clean. All the yellows coming off. Red belts are going to stay, assuming I can restore them on the interior, because it's freaking stupid. The interior doesn't need... I don't understand what the calipers have to do with the interior. They're not in the same spot. I'm going to take the tint down to like a 70% heat rejection film. So I'm going to take the tint off. When we take the cage out, I'm doing a satin black cage. Already ordered that. You'll have to watch the videos and follow the journal, but I'm going to do platinum silver wheels and leave the uprights the silver that they are.
SimRacer454 says, hey, Matt and Obsessed Garage Crew from Australia. Big fan of the show.
Nice.
Thanks, SimRacer.
Someday I'll go to Australia.
That's a long way.
Yeah.
Nathan Miller says DMF has an 18-inch DRD5S.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
There you go.
18-inch DRDF. That's what I have in my.
Nathan.
I have it in my laundry room. They're freaking awesome.
Joe says, love seeing your eyes open a little bit by the 997.2 rear end. On drives in my 997.2 Turbo S, I watch 991s just glide through bumpy corners while get all white-knuckled. That engine is really out back.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty shocking. Plus, the alignment's a little wonky, so
let's see.
You gotta get used to it.
Yoke says, refrigerator question for you.
Okay.
I want to replace our refrigerator with a bigger, I guess, industrial fridge that doesn't cost a ton.
Ooh, yeah.
Those two things don't always go together.
Yeah, $10,000.
A simple 2-door fridge and freezer.
Yep.
What lines should I look into?
There's the fake one, the Frigidaire. There's a Frigidaire one that like lots of homes do, where it's like a fake fancy. It's a nice fridge, but it's a fridge freezer combo, so you can get like that big double door look. But it's not Frigidaire Professional. It's
down a notch from that.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty common at most places. I forget which model. You'll see it.
That's a monster there.
That might be it there.
19 cubic feet. Single door.
Yeah.
4100.
Yep, that's it right there. Yep. So it's a Frigidaire.
Wow. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess it is part of the professional line. It's just not. It's not a great. It's not like super commercial. It's like $4,000 or something, like $4 or $5,000, something like that. The fridge that I'm putting into the Darlington house is going to be a Fogger Milano, but I think it's $10,000 for that. And so what I'm going to do, because I don't have room and I don't want to redo all the cabinets, I'm going to do a cabinet depth, professional fridge freezer. They don't do just a fridge. And I'm going to do a Perlick freezer I believe it's a Perlick, I think is what I have set up. I'm going to do a Perlick freezer in the pantry. So I'm gonna redo the pantry, do our closet system in there, and set it up that way. I'll do a whole video series. But Perlick Fulgrim Milano, obviously Sub-Zero, Wolf Sub-Zero, but those, are going to be extremely expensive. All three of those are around the same price point in that, $8 to $12,000 range. But check out that Frigidaire stuff. That's the thing that most people do, that want that professional look, but aren't going to spend, $9,000 on a fridge.
Matt Hune has a question for you, audio question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a recommendation for a DAC for a computer?
Yeah, it's the one you want is the NAD 3050. I'm going to swap all of my Apollo Solos out for that. I think it's the 3050. The 3060. There it is. That's the 3045. That's not the one.
3050? Is that one?
No. I think it's the 3050. I don't think it's click on that 3045. Yeah, it is the D3045. That's it.
It's on sale.
Hybrid digital lamp. It's
$699 at musicdirect.com.
Yep, it has USB-C input. Your computer will recognize it, and it's pretty fantastic. It's basically a Blue Sound node, power node, but for the computer.
Christopher Deedy wants to know, is a full 1322 wall kit in stock right now? I just looked for you. It is not.
Uh-oh, what are we missing?
Shelves, stainless elbows, blue piping. There's a
boy.
couple things. And the actual pressure washer itself. We have.
Did we sell out?
Yep.
Oh.
So mid to late December is what we're told. The 1322s are coming in. Everything else will be here before that, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, the pressure washer itself. You're gonna be
back to getting your spot in line. So if you want to get one in short order, I would. Yeah.
It was in stock briefly before Black Friday. Now it's not. Improved Garage Super Chat $9.99.
What is it I see over there?
What the pins?
Chick-fil-A sauce.
2 Chick-fil-A sauce.
What is?
In a pinch.
I bet you in your pantry you must have a bucket, don't you?
I have a few.
A box. You have a whole box.
As soon as I heard you talking about that one time, I looked at Megan. I was like, he's talking to me.
That's gross.
I have Arby's sauce from like 1990.
Especially, why do you have it now? They sell
man.
it like in a container, like a dispensing container with a date on and
Those
everything.
are free, though.
Nothing's free.
Oh, man. Yeah, there's only 2 of them. That's good.
Mm-hmm. I bet you there's more in here somewhere. I bet you I could find them if I looked.
Oh, man. Hey, Matt, someone commented on one of my videos yesterday to stop being an OG fanboy and to stop wearing OG shirts. So here's $10. Make me some new shirts so I can buy them. There you go.
It's so funny.
We do have more coming, by the way, more shirts.
I don't really have fanboys. I mean, the people that would become like bought into this are way too intelligent for that. They're listening to the words I'm saying and applying it how necessary. And like the people that say that are so freaking insecure are such babies. I got in a fight with a dude in the Bimmer Post about how he works very hard for his car and you should never say anything bad about it. I said, I have the car, the same car. I can say whatever I want. Yeah. So, yeah, tell the people to suck it. There's no such thing.
That's the next OG shirt. Just says suck it.
Yeah.
Pantac. What was Matt's first big obsession before detailing?
Probably Matchbox cars when I was a little kid. I love those. I didn't play with them. I just kind of lined them up and organized them. Yeah. Then it was baseball cards, baseball, basketball, football, hockey cards. While also, sports, playing sports as much as possible. Yeah.
It just made me think the first pack of baseball cards I bought was 1985 Topps. I remember.
Yeah. I had both of those, Bo Jackson and Mark McGwire on the right.
I remember the first card I got too. It's a pitcher, I think, for the Brewers, Chris Bosio.
I've told this story on the podcast before, but there's been a resurgence of cards.
Oh, yeah.
And, I threw them all away.
Just tossed out thousands and thousands.
Yeah, they're probably a couple $100,000 gone. Yeah, could have kept them.
All right, we got lots of people chiming in here. We're just now catching up because we started a little late here. Shopping cart checkbox. Ben says he was the first to mention that, so thanks, Ben. Anthony says, yes, definitely do that option because I have a lot of Swiss tracks I need to order for next summer. And then Bryce says the percentage will need to be a digital entry. Still haven't figured it out to making the percentage equal an item quantity. We cannot just track money. It has to be a SKU. Yeah, there's a little tinkering that has to go on. Cars with JR says, if you had to choose between an older 991.1 GT3 or a newer 718 GT4, which would you choose?
If I hadn't had either one, I would do the GT4. If I have, then I would do the GT3. You know, so if I've had a GT4 before, then I would do the GT3. You want to end up in the GT3, but if you can follow the progression, I think it'd be more fun. Like if I could have installed the GT4 in my process, you know, if like had the GT4, the 981 GT4 been available in 2014 when I got my GT3, I probably would have gotten that. But they only had the Cayman S. And then I would have gotten the GT3 and then a GT3 RS.
RR gives us an update on the World Cup game. Argentina scored, so it's 1-0.
Oh, wow. That's just riveting.
He knew Uncle Matty would be dying tonight.
That's riveting.
Improved Garage says, my Cree lights are perpendicular to the door. I like that I can just light up one car in my 3-car garage.
The other advantage that is, you know, that made sense to me anyway, is that let's say you had a row that was above where the garage doors would be when they're open. What I'd always done is put that row on a separate switch. That way I could just turn them off when the garage doors were open. But you don't have that wasted row. It's only your garage doors are only going to cut off a portion of the perpendicular lines of lights. So from an efficiency perspective, you could probably do a few less lights in the garage and, you know, have that sort of dual function when the doors are open or closed.
Destin super chat $4.99. Forget the vacuum and the deionizer systems. The people want OG branded zebra cakes.
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Hex, blue.
I
like there's something tastier about blue icing. You know, like on a cake, you put like the perimeter blue around there.
Publix to make
turns your poop green. You know, and you eat enough of it. That's what I like. Yeah. That blue icing on like an ice cream cake, like a Carvel ice cream cake. Yeah, that's real good.
Daniel says, "Hey Matt, looking to stay at Destination OG. Do you have a definite answer, or I guess an ETA maybe, on the F1 sim?"
No, not even close. I would think that'd be probably late next year.
Let's see. Fred says, "Hey gents, it's Fred from Glovebox. Good hanging out with all of you. Thanks, Fred."
Yeah, Fred gave me all kinds of suggestions on hiking gear I got to dig into.
Nice.
I'm sure you'll be excited to see those credit card bills come in at some point.
Oh no. Sim Racer 454. Watching Matt OG washing one of his amazing cars is therapeutic. There you go. That's our Australia buddy.
I'll be doing wash and talk old school style by myself this weekend. Is my plan on the RS. Share with you that, and I need to. All the cars need washed actually, so I should do a bunch of them.
Stint Placer wants to know: are you going to keep it that same color or wrap it in a different color?
What?
The GT.
I don't wrap
GT3.
What? The gray black?
I guess that's what it's referring to.
On glue?
I love that color. That's a nice
Heck
color.
No. Not wrapping anything. You should never wrap a car. No one should ever be doing that. It's an inferior product and it's always scratched up. Looks freaking stupid. Then you have edges and other issues, and just don't wrap anything ever. Paint it, buy it that color, or leave it alone. Yeah, no wraps. Please, no wraps. Nothing's worse than a wrapped Tesla. That's like the ultimate douche move. Yeah, don't wrap stuff. When you grow up, you'll realize that's a total like what's the babies now generation? Not the ones after millennials.
I don't know.
Yeah, whatever the ones that are after that, the Gen douche.
After
Gen Z.
Gen Z?
Yeah.
I thought they were older.
Yeah, no, they're after millennials.
Okay. We have 7 living generations. The greatest generation. Yeah, there you go.
Gen Z.
Born 97 to 2010.
Yep. Yeah, they're the ones that like boys getting perms. That's that generation. Wearing pants that are too short, right? The pants come to like halfway on their calves. And then they're tight rolling it like they did in the 80s that I refused to do. I thought it was the dumbest thing.
Let's see. You and I are both Generation X.
Yeah.
You just barely made it in there.
Yeah, we're like kind of hybrids, right?
Yeah, you're right on the edge there. Oh, man. I feel older now. Cars with JR. Has Matt ever worn the Clean Car Club giveaway shirt?
No. I don't
I
even
can
have
answer
one.
that one for you.
No, that's terrible. I would never allow that. How many of those shirts do we sell?
I'll look it up.
Too
in a
many.
second, yeah. Yeah, that one and the minimum.
Don't
Do you have
wear
the
that
minimal
shirt.
one with the little eye, the
I like
headlight?
that. Yeah, I have
that's a
those.
good
I
one.
like that. But do not wear that Clean Car. That's so dumb.
D-Man says, need more minimalistic Hex zip-up hoodies. We might be all out. I don't know. I haven't even looked, but I think we have a couple colors. Andrew says, hey guys, son ordered your power washer and loves it. On Black Friday, I ordered Swiss Trax flooring. When it showed up, one of the orders is incorrect. Filed claim yesterday, but no auto response. Normal? Yes. So email support at Obsessed Garage. They'll get you straightened out.
Bingo.
Yeah, because there were thousands of Swiss Trax tiles that went out over Black Friday weekend. So one is inevitably going to get mixed up. Sorry about that, though. Whatever. Andrew. Matt, how do you feel about the GT4 RS? Dylan wants to know.
Well, I'm set myself up to get one at some point someday, so I can envision that being a long-term addition.
So
but
what?
We're going to wait and see what happens. I'm not going to be able to get one, but I'm going to wait and see what happens, and then if hopefully they'll make a bunch more than I'm thinking they're going to make, and then I could just buy one secondhand at some point.
And so what is the difference then for me and the common folk? GT3 RS and GT4 RS.
So the GT4 RS is the first GT4, which is a mid-engine car. So the engine is in front of the rear axle instead of over the rear axle like a 911. So it's a superior, sports car platform. But they've always held it back because the GT3 had a better engine. So they essentially took the GT3 engine, the 992 GT3 engine, put it in the GT4. It makes largely what the GT3 makes in horsepower. They put the PDKS in, so it has the GT3 transmission. So it's PDKS with a GT3 motor in a GT4 chassis, mid-engine chassis, which makes it incredible.
Gotcha. So the big difference is mid-engine, not rear engine.
Correct.
Got it.
So it's a GT3, but in a better
placement.
platform, which they've always held back, and so it's a fantastic car.
Jeff C says, I love the Inside the Hex video with Lee and Pan. This is the audio guy, right?
I am surprised. I mean, I haven't watched that back, but we were very candid and just talking through. I forget what I was asking him about.
Well, he says, I have very simple taste when it comes to audio, and I thought Dyne Audio were the pinnacle. I had no idea just how expensive speakers can
Oh, yeah, that's cheap.
Yeah.
They're like mid-tier. Even like Dyne Audio's the what are the ones I'm going to spend a bunch of money on? There's Contours, and then how is it escaping me?
You shouldn't buy them if you can't even remember the name. Let's see. Heritage Special.
No, I already
Evoke,
have
Confidence,
those.
Focus.
Confidence, yeah, the Confidence line. That's the next step.
Oof.
60K. 60K for a pair, yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, those are Confidence 50s, not Confidence 60s. Someday.
Yeah, I had listened to that video as well. Actually, I heard him talking about sine waves and stuff. I was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. But then I gave up on it. Let's see where we go. There we go. GT3 color is the best. Colors are different on GT3s versus GT4s, or are they same? I guess they're different.
I think there's some carryover, but they just, they can pick whatever they want. And then a lot of people would do paint to sample ones.
This is going to make you feel better.
Okay.
Parker says, as a member of Gen Douche, I won't be wrapping any car I own.
There you go. Or getting a perm.
He didn't say that. So
Okay.
maybe he already has one. Someone from the OG chat chimed in, I guess, referring to Clean Car Club shirts. We're going to make another one, they say.
No.
Awad wants to know, given the choice, would you choose Lexus ISF or an E90X M3?
Yeah, the M3 for sure. The Lexuses are just so flawed. Isn't the ISF front-wheel drive? I think it is. If I remember correctly. Lexus ISF. A super cool-looking car. Maybe it is rear-wheel drive. I might be making that up.
I think so. It didn't pop up there. Let's see.
I might be wrong.
Body style, tuner,
Rear-wheel
rear-wheel drive.
drive, yeah.
Front engine.
Where am I getting that from? Maybe I'm thinking of the Celica, Toyota Celica. Those were like the two cars back in the day, you know. But yeah, no, definitely M3.
Tim follows your logic here. I don't wrap Christmas presents, much less a vehicle. There you go. Anthony Lucci says, OG did a great job communicating and getting my order out after Black Friday. Love the process you guys have built. Thanks, Anthony.
It also depends on what you ordered and when you ordered it and all that. So some stuff takes a little longer, and we're trying to keep people up to date with where we're at, with what we're waiting for. And, you know, in order to make this work, I'm going to have to oversell stuff and try to get it in and scramble to make it happen. So thank you for all the support.
Yeah, we had stuff come in every single day this week, and basically as soon as it came in, we went right back out the door. So we're working on it. Travis Baird says, what do you think of Built Hamburger? So have you tried that stuff yet?
I haven't used any of it yet. Nope. Yeah, I need to.
All right, Ben Finner says, we have 4 BMWs, all manuals.
Mm-hmm.
M Clown Shoe. That's the short one.
That's the Z3. Yeah, M. Yep.
X5.
Yep.
E91 wagon.
Yep.
And E90 M3.
Mm-hmm.
What should we buy next? And why is it a lettuce shredder? What is a lettuce shredder? I don't know what that is.
See, I'm not much of a collector. I'd get rid of 3 of those.
So you keep the E90?
Keep the E90 M3, yeah. And I would get probably an E92 M3 to go with it. Yeah, I mean, maybe E39 M5, or maybe like, you get a new one in F90 M5 would be cool.
What does Waba have? What's
E39 M5?
It's an older one. All right, Steve Rose wants to know, are you still getting the Rivian?
I still have it on order, so I mean, maybe. I have the Emira. I have a spot for the Emira, so we'll see how that goes. See what my car life looks like if that should come to fruition.
Now, let's see. Travis Baird wants to know, when is the Della Mitt coming? We have the Mitt. It's the Della Pad.
Yeah, the Pad. I'd say we'd probably have it in a few months. I need to get the next tester version and see how that goes, but I would say in a month or 2.
Yeah, so we have the Mitt, don't have the Pad yet.
Yeah.
Improved Garage Super Chat $4.99. I have LYD5
Mm-hmm.
and SB1000 at my computer.
Yep.
Is the Dyne Audio Sub 9S worth the upgrade?
No, definitely not.
What's the one down there? Is that
That's a Sub 9S.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, unless you're going to go to an 18S. The 9S, I don't like the 9S all that much. It's okay. Super tight, super smooth, but it's kind of weak.
Let's see. Luca came in late. How's the dual pressure washer setup coming? He's working on it right this moment, Mike is. Daniel Grimes looking to buy the K1122 TST when it's back in stock.
Okay.
Just the pressure washer alone, by the way, Daniel, is in stock. Some of the packages are not quite in stock, but we have the pressure washers, a few of them left. How long do you think or know that this setup lasts? We discussed that earlier. Yours is, 10 years old now?
Should be a lifetime, yeah, if you maintain it 20 plus years. I mean, there's some of the original K 1020 or something like that, or 1120 were the originals, and some of those are 30 years old, still kicking. It depends on your level of skill in maintaining things, and how willing you are to work for it. Now, you might have bad luck and it craps out in 4 years. You could buy a Toyota Camry and just have bad luck. You got a bad one built on a bad day. But chances are that Toyota Camry is going to last a whole long time. And so same thing with this. If you take care of it, maintain it, even if you don't take care of it and maintain it, it will likely last a really long time, 20 years, something like that.
Fred from Glovebox wants to know, hey, Matt, have you tried the Auto Fiber Barrel Blade yet?
I have not yet, no. Some people say they really liked it.
Let's see.
That's
here.
a wheel brush.
Okay.
Kind of looks like the Increda brush, but a little different.
Oh, yeah, I think I saw that. Is that the one you had at SEMA? It was like a curve to it?
Yep.
Okay. Javier wants to know, do you think HDMI cables matter for audio quality?
No, it either works or it doesn't, right? So it can degrade, you can degrade your experience, but not so much your quality. It's digital. And so you're not getting noise introduction into the cable, and so you just need it to be able to pass the high bandwidths that are now required, up to 48 gigabits per second. So when you get into longer lengths and you get into high bandwidth, you could not degrade the signal, you just won't get it. You either get it or you don't. So it's not worth spending money on fancier cables, other than the fancier cable might get your signal to the display at full bandwidth.
Javier says he purchased some Sky cables from Best Buy that are 0.5 silver inside and noticed a huge difference in sound.
Well, that can happen on like analog cables. I mean, I've heard the difference, and you could even argue that even just general audio, if you're sending the signal through wire's wire. If it gets there, it gets there. But that isn't totally true. I feel like you can tell a difference. But so analog cables, yes, but digital cables generally not.
All right, let's see. This is from Steve here. You might get a kick out of this. Are you going to stock the Gas Monkey Garage detail products? LOL.
Yeah, I suspect not.
Brandon wants to know, how do you deal with a significant other that's not supportive of your car obsession? Thinks everything I buy is stupid.
Yeah, I mean, I had that for a long time. Especially we were making sacrifices, right? Oh no, let's not go on vacation because Matt, I'm buying a titanium exhaust kind of thing doesn't go over very well. I mean, I think you have to figure out a compromise, and you have to be willing to put in the extra effort, and be able to maybe, I guess, make a case for that effort on, But I think you have to be cognizant of what kind of sacrifice you're asking your significant other to give up for your bad habit, if you will. I'd always just out-earned my habits. It was always my goal. And I'm always a little bit behind them, but I tend to catch up to them. And so at some point, you get to a point where you buy a GT3 RS, and wife comes home and just looks at it and just rolls her eyes, but that's it.
That's in the latest video there, Brendan. If you missed
What did Kate say? Or something like, she's like, I don't see anything.
Yeah.
I said, Kate, this is my next $1 million idea. Yeah. So my kids are so conditioned and jaded that they don't even notice like a all-time pursuit car that's sitting. They walk right past. Don't even notice it.
Let's see. Jack says, aside from Dundon, what exhaust recommendations do you have for 991 GT3?
Soul and AWE. I really like the AWE for that. So the AWE switch path is nasty, but no drone. It's freaking awesome. And it's like $2,800 or $3,000 or something like that. So that's what I had on when I sold my 991.1. I had the AWE on there. It was great.
Oh, I should have added this. This is the next comment. He's looking to retain stock headers / cats, if that makes a difference.
Yep, the AWE for sure.
All right, some guy named 888 works. I think he goes by Bryce. He claims the Lexus IS 500F Sport is going to be the car that everyone wants in 10 years. Naturally aspirated 5-liter V8 with 472 horsepower rear-wheel drive. Perfection.
Yeah, but it has a weird-looking swoopy-doopy front end. It's kind of goofy. It's like bulbous-looking front bumper. I don't like it.
I'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Let's see. Sonny wants to know, when can we expect some new Inside the Hex content? GT3 Wash and Talk
Today.
/drive?
Yeah, I just did one.
Today?
It should be up there now. I don't know if Chris launched it yet.
Evan, $5 super chat, wants to know, how are the Threshold towels from Target holding up? Asking for my wife. Yeah,
pretty
right.
well. I actually prefer, and I didn't do this at the Helen House, but I prefer there's like a waffle weave version of it. It's fantastic. That is my favorite one. I only bought one of them, but I keep finding myself going back to that one. I just bought the real fancy front gate towels. Shoot, that darn Threshold. The only thing I found, the Thresholds are not holding up as well washing, long term as I like.
Well, he says, as a follow-up here, they haven't held up for me. My current favorite is Simply Vera by Vera, weighing 100% Turkish cotton. Let's see. Bobby wants to know, can you tell us again what the McKee's rinseless wash dilution ratio for windshield wiper fluid is?
256 to 1. or 256 to 1. So you'd put like I think it's what was it, like 7.5 milliliters, and I whatever it was. You do the math.
So
just divide it by
an
256.
ounce per 2 gallons, basically, is what you want.
Yeah. Yep.
There you go. Vince wants to know, I'm curious how successful Matt is projecting the coffee business will be. I know it's not his thing, but my wife and I are very excited to try the different blends. La Marzocco is also in our future.
I don't know. I think it's going to be largely dependent on how successful Destination Obsessed Garage is. I think we need multiple properties, and then I think we could sell a decent amount of $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million a year of coffee-related things. I think it's always going to be behind because I'm not interested in it, so it'll always be behind what it could be. But it is something that I think that as people go and experience the house, or they watch the videos in the house, and I jerk around trying to make some hot chocolate, it could be a decent thing, and then could open up I'm testing this out, open up doors. Seems like it's pretty well received, and people get it that I have jumped the shark on this sort of thing, but I brought in some outside experts to add some information and add a resource that maybe people otherwise wouldn't have found.
I actually talked about that on my call with Nancy in our little leadership group about that, because if you look at it, where is the coffee? So the coffee video has 18,000 views.
Yep.
Which is more than your Sunday drive video.
Yeah, 97% so people, aren't hating it. And there's so many comments, 160 comments.
Look at all those.
Yep.
That's more than all these other videos.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So people are into that. And we sold a ton of coffee so far. We had to get more. Let's see. James wants to know, what's your opinion when it comes to big things, debt, cars, houses, etc.? You like to pay things off, or the note doesn't bother you?
Yeah. I mean, it depends on what position you are in life and what your ascent path is. If you're going to be making a certain amount of money and you're stuck with that certain amount of money forever, then I'm not a huge fan of having a big note or an increasing note, or continuing to chase an increasing nut that you got to pay. But I mean, I tend to use leverage often, especially on cars and houses. It is nice. It is a nice feeling. I've had one house paid off. It was a nice feeling, but feelings are not generally the best reality to take. So, I see a lot of people do this where they'll power pay down their house and not make a contribution to their 401k. In a perfect world, you would go without. You would max out all of your retirement vehicles, if you will, your tax deferred vehicles, like 401ks and things like that. This nonsense of Roth IRA is the best option is ridiculous. It makes no sense to me. That's just conventional wisdom that is people haven't actually done the frickin' math of, a Roth IRA has no advantage to me other than maybe not withdrawing the money in the future. We can talk about that if you'd like, but so a 401k is the best option. Tax deferred is the best option instead of paying the tax up front. I think, and then if you still have resources left over because you're going without, then power paying down your mortgage would be great. But theoretically, you'd still be better served hanging on to that mortgage for 30 years, taking whatever extra you were going to pay on the mortgage and put it into your brokerage account and have that compound as well. The simple time value of money. If I held on to the leverage of my home, I paid it, minimum whatever the 30-year amortization schedule was, you're going to net out a much better return by keeping that money net of all of the interest you're going to pay over the years. Especially if you've had the mortgage for a while, because you're now paying a decent amount of principal down, because most of the interest is front loaded. Don't frickin' refinance all the time. That's a fool's game. That's a poor man's game. When you're refinancing, taking equity out, that's the dumbest thing you could ever do, because every time you refinance, you're paying like $10,000 in closing costs. So generally your net savings is negated by your closing cost. It's a freaking scam. Don't do that. I mean, sometimes, so if you were at 6 and you refinanced to 2.8, sure. But to go from 3.15 to 2.4, That's stupid. Don't do that. So generally speaking, you want to not play that game. Don't be rolling credit card balances from one to the next. So in a perfect world, you would pay off your house. But actually, in a psychologically perfect world, you'd pay off your house. But in a statistically speaking, in a financially speaking, you would want to hold on to the darn mortgage. It's hard for me to hold on to the mortgage because I'm irresponsible with cash, right? Like most of us are. I'm always going to find a place to take that cash. And now, my life has been very fortunate that every single dollar I spend almost always has some angle for return. It just doesn't look like it because I'm buying a GT3 RS, but that GT3 RS is going to generate lifelong returns for me because I'm going to work my face off for that car, on that car, and then secondly, it's going to find me new customers forever. It's going to generate a significant return for me long term. Plus, hopefully, we sell enough crap that it makes I can make a positive return on my money. So let's just think about the M2. I spent $150,000 on the M2. Let's just round it off. $150,000 on the M2. So we did $300,000 in profit. It's a little less and a little bit more. So let's just say $150,000 in profit. Well, how long do we have that car? 9 months, something like that. 8 months. So double the money in 8 months. But what's the residual benefit? How many new people do we now have because they discovered us from the M2? Probably not a massive amount. 1,000 people, 2,000 people, which would be very small in the world of YouTube numbers and stuff. But let's say 1,500 people. And of those 1,500 people, let's say that 10% of them become customers. That's 150 people. I mean, imagine I always hear, you're watching Shark Tank, you hear about acquisition costs and acquisition of just one sale of one new customer. What's our percentage of repeat customer? I mean, it's like most of them repeat. It's like 80% of repeat customers once they buy something. So, I mean, what's the value? So I get to buy the thing, find a customer, and make a profit on the new customer, not pay to get the new customer. It's a pretty awesome deal. It's pretty sweet.
Ben Finner wants to know if you could drive for any racing series for 1 week, which would it be? WRC, F1, NASCAR, GT1, touring car, etc.?
I don't know. I mean, it'd probably be F1. You get the most out of it, right? But yeah, that's not something I'd ever really considered. I'm not really interested in any of those. It's kind of boring to me. Yeah, but it'd be F1 just because how cool. Forget the racing part, but all the teams and money and all the
Monaco.
Access. Some of the most famous people in the world. It's pretty cool.
Al Daly agrees with you about the hideous scowl of a front bumper on that Lexus.
Yeah, it's kind of ugly.
Fred suggests some Rishi teas for OG Spec tea for Helen or yourself. Rishi teas. Are you into tea at all? You don't drink tea.
For what? Oh, I thought you were talking about T-shirts.
No, TEA.
Oh, yeah, not really. No, I just don't like caffeine. Like, I don't want to rely on that. I mean, you don't have it, you don't need it. And so, there are some benefits to metabolism on caffeine, but that would be for someone like me who would take caffeine like once in a while. But now, once you become addicted to it, then it serves very little purpose other than now you're addicted to some stimulant. And it doesn't make any sense to me.
Kevin wants to know, do you have any entry-level home theater receiver recommendations?
Yeah, I mean, you just can't go wrong with all the Japanese receivers. Onkyo, Yamaha, Denon. I always preferred Yamaha, Pioneer Elite. So I would say, somewhere... Right now, an entry level for me would be used to be $499, $500. Sold tons of them. With inflation, you're probably looking at, for a similar receiver, you're probably looking at like $700 or $800. But I would buy a Yamaha and then just spend as much money as you can. You're really paying for the better amplifier as you go upward. The entry level NAD receiver, which I'm in love with, is the 775, but that one's $1,800.
Let's see. Jeff C says, I can't do rinseless in my washer fluid. He lives in Minnesota.
Yep,
But for
yeah,
people
don't
who
do
do,
that.
just put half an ounce in a gallon of distilled water. Avoids possible water spotting issues with hard water / N914.
Yeah, but it will not help you with freezing at all. So
Jack says, thanks for your GT3 exhaust response. Now, how about for his E92 M3? It has a Dynon axle back, so what's the best X pipe to mate that with? The ARH headers are too advanced for a home project.
yeah, you want quad resonated, right? In a perfect world, you'd find an old Dynon, quad resonated middle section, but you can't. They don't make it anymore, and you'd have to pay a huge premium for it. So I would, I think it's either Borla or MagnaFlow. I think it's MagnaFlow that makes a quad resonated mid pipe. You want to delete the cats. So delete the cats, Alpine MSS tune, and so you go catless, and that mid pipe will gain you like 40 horsepower. Get the Dynon pulleys. That's an easy home project to do. But yeah, the it's either Borla or MagnaFlow. Whatever one has quad resonators. Because if you take out all the other ones, do a pair of resonators, then it gets real raspy. You don't want that.
Let's see. S. Holzer 17 wants to know, have you heard of car putty for auto financing? Do you have any thoughts?
I haven't heard of that. What is that all about?
I don't know. Let's see.
Completely re-engineered financial process.
Here's the old way. Here's the new way.
Flex line, add vehicle to line of credit. Interesting. So you just have an open line of credit, and you can buy whatever you want. Oh,
6.89%.
low rates of 7%. I guess maybe that's not terrible in current market.
Currently lending in up there in Florida. There you go. Yeah, we haven't heard much about it, but interesting.
Sounds like it's just an open line of credit that you can then buy and sell cars however you want.
All right, let's see. Dan Pfeiffer and James Strother both agree here. What do they say? Let me scroll. They're interested to hear a bit more on why tax-free growth is not as beneficial as many think.
So not
Summarize
tax-free
that.
growth, but pay tax up front,
Deferred
right?
growth.
So here's the difference. So an IRA or a 401k, traditional 401k or IRA, when you put money in, you get you're getting a deduction, right? So you're putting in. So if I made $10,000, I'm going to put $10,000 in. I put the whole $10,000 in. Okay, so an IRA, what's the IRA limit? $6,500 this year, something like that. A 401k is
20,500 or something.
yeah. So the
20.
limits have changed. Say 20 grand. So let's say I'm going to max out my 401k. Look that up. It'll give me my IRA 2022 or 2023 max contributions for an IRA 6,000. Okay, and then you have a catch up if you're over the age of 50. You can do 7,000. 401k is 20,500.
It's going up to 22,500 next year.
Oh wow, that's freaking cool. So you can put $22,500 in. So most people aren't able to do that, right? Most people aren't doing that. If you make, $100 grand to put 22.5 in, you're a good saver. You're probably living on a paltry life, right? You're saving money, which is great. So most people aren't going to put that much in. So now you have to make a choice. So let's say you're making 100 grand and you're going to put 10 grand in. So I'm going to take $10,000 and I'm going to put it into a 401k, and that $10,000 goes in, and it reduced my income down to $90,000. So I've got to I defer the tax. I'm not paying the tax. I'm deferring it forever. Let's say I had a Roth 401k option. I make 100 grand. I'm not going to very likely take 10 grand after tax and put it into the Roth. I'm going to take some number less than that. Let's just say it's $7,500, right? Because if I'm paying the tax today, that means I'm not getting the tax deferral, which means it would take money out of my ability to eat, right? To pay bills. Because again, most people making 100 grand aren't going to max out their 401k. So what most people would say is, and what conventional wisdom has been, well, you're better off paying the tax now and putting $7,500 in than you would be deferring the tax and putting 10 grand in. In a perfect world, 10 grand in a Roth versus 10 grand in a regular, the 10 grand in a Roth is better. The problem is you're not putting 10 grand into the Roth, you're going to put $7,500 into the Roth because you're let's say you're going to have to pay tax on all. You're going to pay your FICA, you're going to pay your Medicare, you're going to pay your federal income tax, you pay your state income tax on the, because you're going to put the $7,500 in after you've paid all those taxes, right? You got to pay the tax today. So it's simple time value of money. Let's say you compounded 10 grand over 30 years versus 7,500 over 30 years. Yes, I would have to pay tax on withdrawals on the growth of the 10 grand over 30 years. But if you do a simple time value of money calculation, you're going to have a lot more money in the tax deferred versus I've already paid the tax, right? Mm-hmm. Both are tax deferred. You're deferring tax, but you pay the tax up front on the Roth, and you can withdraw the Roth completely tax-free. So simple time value of money, I can get my calculator out here, or you can run that math really quick. Present value is $10,000, and let's say you're able to make is 8% a year, and you're putting no other money in. Just take that simple thing, and it compounds annually. Let's just say it wouldn't, but your calculation, I can do it on my frickin' calculator probably quicker. They're going to have to pay or something like that. This thing close. Let's do that math here. I'll do it right here.
But in theory, if you put your 10,000, if you really did put 10,000 instead of
then Roth is way better.
Yeah.
Right.
But people don't because.
But I would make an argument if you did the math, could put a spreadsheet together, say that you could, if you're going to go and pay the tax and put the 10 grand in, why wouldn't you just then, now you're at 10 grand versus 12,500. I'd be better off taking $2,500 and putting in a brokerage account and investing it over time. The only way this math works is if you're able to max out, not your Roth IRA. Your 401k is a better option. We just talked about it. An IRA has a $6,000 limit. Your 401k has a $22,500 limit. You can't double dip. So if I say $10,000 is my present value, and let's just do it every year because that'd be more realistic, right? So $10,000, let's say I'm able to make 8% interest, and let me change this to 1 period per year just to make it easier. And let's say over 30 years, let's say I started when I was 30 and I'm going to take it to 60. Then if I just did the 10 grand, my future value would be $100,626. If I did 10,000 every year, and I made that my payment, my future value would be 1.233 million. So $1.25 million, right? 1.23 million. Versus if I did 7,500, remember it was 100 grand roughly. So if I did 7,500. Let's clear that, $7,500, and that's my present value. Same 8% interest, same 30 years. The future value is 75 grand versus 100 grand, right? Mm-hmm. So it's $25,000 less. Now, yes, if I take the 75 grand out today, I pay no tax. If I take the 100 grand out today, 30 years from now, let's say I take the 75 grand out 30 years from now, I pay no tax on the 75 grand. So my $7,500 that I put in at once grew to $75,000. I could take it all out at once, tax free. That's great. That's fantastic. I would rather have 100 grand because I'm never going to take out 75 grand at once. I'm going to play the game. What if I had to go in a long-term care facility? Now I have a huge medical tax deduction. First 10% doesn't count. Anything over and above that does. I go into a posh medical facility, and I can possibly withdraw my entire tax-deferred IRA tax-free because I can offset a large portion of it. So if I go $7,500 a year payment, future value is $925,000. That's $300,000 difference. If I give you the choice, I've got 925 grand or $1,300,000 or $1,250,000. I'm going to take the $1,250,000 and I'll figure out the tax later, right? Pretty simple math. So generally speaking, you're not going to do 10 for 10, right? I mean, I'm going to do some number less because you can always say that if I defer the tax, I'm always going to be able to put more money away and save more money today than if I paid the tax now. Plus, who the heck knows, 30 years from now, they're going to say, you know what, we promised you the tax, but now we have a special tax on Roth IRAs. There's too much money in Roth IRAs. Now, I have some, I don't know, if it's 100, 200 grand in Roth or something like that from my early years where I made virtually nothing. And so I made Roth contributions. But even then, I probably would have been better off putting more in and taking the deductions. Because I'm just taking the IRS's money, or so they think. I think of it as my money I'm giving the IRS. But I'm taking the money I would have given the IRS and just deferring it. Defer forever. Because there's something called stretchability. You can stretch your 401k. Generally speaking, the moment you retire, roll your 401k in an IRA. Not a Roth. Don't do a conversion. Don't pay any tax. It's freaking stupid. Unless you have some big expense that you don't have enough income to offset. So let's say that I make some huge mistake and I lose a bunch of money. So let's say that I lost, let's say I have $1 million in my IRA, and I lost $2 million, and I only made $1 million, but I have a $2 million loss. And what I would do is I may need to create some income, assuming that's not a passive loss, assuming it's an active loss against my active income. I may then just take $1 million out of my IRA, so that way now I'm making $2 million, so I can offset. So I may be able to convert my IRA to a Roth, pay the tax, or not pay the tax because I have some sort of deduction. So you never know what's going to happen in your life. I say defer, do the math on that. And then there's a good chance that you end up figuring out a way to take out of your tax deferred account tax-free in the future. Have more money, figure it out later. That was always my advice because I frickin' did the math. Everybody always says Roth. The frickin' people are so stupid. They like pay the tax today. They're like taking money out and doing a Roth conversion. That doesn't make any sense. Now, me personally, so I'm maxing out the 401k. I make too much money in order to do IRA contributions. So I'm doing a non-deductible IRA contribution of $6,000, and then we do a backdoor Roth. We do a conversion on that. So you do a simultaneous conversion. Because you'd rather have, so I didn't get the deduction for the IRA, and so you can do a backdoor Roth and do a conversion of that $6,000 or $12,000 for the family. And yes, I would rather have, if I didn't have to pay the tax, I would much rather have Roth money. But if you do the math and if you're not maxing things out, then you and you're stupid if you're putting money into an IRA and not your 401k. I don't care how much money the 401k costs. I don't care any about that. I don't care about your plans to invest in real estate in your IRA with your $6,000 measly contribution. You want to utilize the 401k if you have one. If you don't, then you're stuck with the IRA. If you're a sole practitioner, you want to start looking into other options. You know, look into like simple IRA, solo 401k. So there's other options like that. You talk to your tax professional. But that's my 2 cents on tax deferral. Would you rather have $2 million or $1 million? $2 million you got to pay tax on, $1 million that you don't. I'd rather have $2 million, and I'll figure out how to play the game. Make sense?
It does. This is not financial advice for anybody out there, though. It's just
I can say whatever I want. I don't have a license anymore.
Okay, good. All right, this is good. You should do like a Ask Me Anything finance thing one day. That'd be fun.
Well, I'm not I've forgotten more than I once knew, but that's something you don't forget, and it's pretty simple. And then I would argue, forget this retirement nonsense. Figure out something you like doing and forget all that. Doesn't mean don't save money. Save money so you have the option. But this whole retire at 60 whatever is freaking stupid. Why are you doing something you hate so much that you want to quit? Find something you'd like to keep doing, and then you don't have to live like destitute or try to save. You don't have to live like you don't have to try to save so much money. Like, I have no interest in that. That's another thing when you're talking about like saving for your kids' college. I mean, but you're sacrificing your ability to, your own personal, well-being. I just think that's a huge mistake. They might not even go to college.
Jordan, back to F1 for just a second here. Jordan says, "Hey Matt, The Wynn in Las Vegas is offering $100 million packages to watch the F1 series around the closed streets of Vegas. I can definitely see you and 5 other guys getting together and going. You get a penthouse with a butler. There you go.
Yeah, no thanks. No thanks. You got to have some serious jack to be doing something like that.
Here we go. There's an audio question here real quick. Adam, can you recommend your new philosophy on setting up your home AV system? I'm tired of calling the AV guy on my Control4 system.
Oh, yeah. So really simple. It's beautiful. Ditch the Blu-ray player. Just give it up. We don't freaking use it anyway. If you really want, high quality, get a Kaleidoscape. But even that, I think it's a waste of money. Buy an Apple TV 4K. Get yourself if you already have a display, make sure you have an OLED or a projector. You don't want LCD, LED, whatever you want to call it. It's LCD. So you want an OLED display. So you're going to take your Apple TV 4K, get yourself a really good HDMI cable. I have some decent ones in our store that you can get from Velux cables. Take the Apple TV, run it directly into your display. So into input, whatever, 3 or 4 usually, something like that. Okay. Then you get another matching HDMI cable, run that out of your TV into your receiver, your preamp, your source component, right? And he's probably has a preamp if he has a Control4 setup. Then you go into your Apple TV and your TV, like Sony, you have to go turn it on. LG, I don't think you do, but you're looking for consumer electronic control, CEC control. And so basically in the Apple TV, it's already defaulted where it says turn your devices on. In your receiver, you probably have to turn it on as well. Or you turn on the CEC or HDMI control. They call it a bunch of different things, but it's called consumer electronics control. I don't love it, but I've gotten used to it. Go into the Apple TV menu for the Apple TV remote control. Turn off the scrolling feature. You want it to be tap, not scroll, because the scroll you'll be driving you crazy. You just want to be able to push the buttons, not have it jump around all over the place. Then you'll never have any syncing issues, have any handshaking issues. Everything just turns on. You don't use the TV's menu at all. You only use the Apple TV for watching your various things. Make sure you get rid of your cable box and all that crap. Just do Apple TV, and then opt for the 4K option. Apple TV is freaking fantastic. So I have Apple TV, or not Apple TV, YouTube TV. Sorry, I meant. So get rid of your cable system and just switch to cable internet. And then you won't need any Control4 remote. The wife, kids, Kate goes in there and uses it. Anybody can use it. There's never any doesn't turn on, doesn't turn off. You press the button, it turns everything on. You hold the power button down for 1 second, turns everything off. It's beautiful. So I've made that complete transition to using CEC control. Get rid of all your componentry. Just have an Apple TV, call it a day. But I still have 4 amplifiers and a fancy preamp and all that crap. Tons of speakers, but I don't have to deal with any of the nonsense of the Control4 or even dealing with trying to get the software to update in Logitech and all that crap. I don't have to worry about it. It's magical.
Tim Kinley wants to know, has Chris expanded his Vertex wardrobe? Yes, Tim, I bought some jeans. They're pretty awesome, too.
I don't know what that is.
You're the one who turned me on to their pants. They're like the fancy, what are they called? I'll think of it in a second. They got like 47 pockets.
511 tactical.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
they're really good. Tactical, that's the one. Yeah, I have tactical jeans for all the tactical things I do.
Yeah.
The key is it has the side pocket for your wallet, so you don't have to sit on your wallet. Let's see. Undertow 999. When will Milwaukee polishers be back in stock? Today. Undertow, they're back in. I just checked. We got a shipment in. We have 4 of the kits available for the 15mm, 7 of the tool onlys.
Nice. That's after we fulfilled
all. Yep, that's after all of the Black Friday because we sold a ton.
Nice.
During Black Friday. So after all that, there's 4 of the kits and 7 tool
15mm is what you want, and I think you should buy the tool. It's a really good deal because you get 2 6.0 batteries that are super useful.
So there you go. Go buy one now before they're gone. Lots of more. Also, the OG coffee was great. Almost done with my bag. Excellent. That's cool. Brad wants to know, any plans on getting a Freightliner or Super C to pull that beautiful trailer for the next trip up to the Tail or Helen?
Yeah, I don't think so. The goal would be to have the cars there so I don't have to tow anything up there. That would be the goal. Because down here, what I'd plan to have, plan to have a beautiful GT3 RS 997, a beautiful touring, and then the E92. So that would be the goal. And then I'd have whatever giveaway car I had, and then up there I'd have a much more usable 991.1 RS and a some sort of M3 or M2 there for driving. And then we're going to get another house and do the same thing. So I don't hopefully have to be towing stuff back and forth forever.
All right, Skull has a detailing question. Do you ever consider real professional detailing products over boutique? So something like CSU instead of CSL?
No, he's talking like, there's a lot of blenders that will make, concentrated formulas that you can buy. Like this P&S, that's kind of how they got their start. There's plenty of lines out there like that. Generally, no, because most of that stuff isn't very good. It can get the job done, but like those type of detailers generally are like using an all-purpose cleaner everywhere, just to keep the cost low. But in general, I think that the boutique stuff has beaten. I'm sure there's some obscure stuff inside of like localized blenders, but generally speaking, the boutique stuff is going to be superior, and it doesn't cost that much. The detailing chemicals are the cheapest part in this whole thing. So, but if you're going high volume, I guess you can try to save your pennies, but I wouldn't do that either. I'd use boutique products, let your customers know, and just have them pay for it. Seems pretty simple to me.
Rob wants to know, how are you liking the Transit van? Do you ever drive it?
No, I've never driven it. Not once.
Justin and Ken drive that thing.
Yeah.
It does fine.
Yeah.
You can fit a pallet or two in there, which is nice,
yeah.
in addition to some other stuff.
I don't want anything to do with it.
Yeah. All right, that's all the questions we got for today. 3:40, so we went a little long. That's okay because we started late. Yeah. Those of you who asked about the dual pressure washer setup, it kept coming up here again and again. Mm-hmm. They're working on it today, and then Matt says he's doing some wash and talks this weekend.
What's he saying about the 401k there? Something
TPS, TSP versus 401k?
Well, that's the same thing. You don't have a choice. It's whatever your, a tax sheltered annuity or tax sheltered plan is something like if you're a teacher or you work for like a Section 457 plan for the federal government or something like that. You wouldn't have a choice, but they have the same rules of contribution rates generally. So you don't get to pick one. You get what your employer provides you.
All right, then here's what I think you're looking at. On a 401k, shouldn't the tax rate you pay down the line theoretically be lower, as well as you are assumed to be retired, and you take the benefit of writing down what you pay today on the contribution? My broker tells me to punt taxes down the line as long as possible.
Well, theoretically, let's say you're making $250,000 and you retire, you're making like a small fraction of that, right? So you're getting Social Security. Maybe you probably don't have a pension anymore. So say now you're making $50,000 in Social Security a year. So now your income's 50. Then anything you take out of your 401k adds to that. But yes, you theoretically would be in a lower tax rate when you're retired. The only way that you'd be in a higher tax rate is if you had like a bunch of money, right? And so you're kind of playing the game that if you know for certain that you're going to inherit a bunch of money and you're going to get really rich because you're doing all kinds of things, or you're going to sell a business or something like that, you may end up, and this is where the Roth becomes advantageous, you may end up making $1 million a year when you're retired because you have all this passive income coming from all over the place. That generally isn't the case, and like for me, I probably have a few $100 million when I'm retired. If I keep working like I work, and I probably won't ever retire, it probably would be better for me to pay the tax now and have a Roth. But it's going to be such an inconsequential amount that it doesn't even frickin' matter. So always defer the tax. Pay the tax as long as you can if you have the choice.
I have one more thing from Xantonin. Dual pressure washers won't work with auto shut-off pressure washers. They generate too much pressure and shut each other off.
Well, we're going to find out.
Yeah, we'll find out.
Yeah, so what we may be able to do, what I'm not sure is, do we need a check valve? So, yeah, we're going to find that out. That's something that somebody else was telling me too. I'm like, well, I'm going to figure that out, and then we'll have to put a single way check valve on them, see what happens.
All right, so stay tuned. Oh, and last thing, sorry. tentative schedule for Wash and Talks? What's for sure getting washed this weekend?
Nothing is for sure.
That's true.
I'm not committing to that.
All right.
We'll see.
So the GT3 RS is probably
I tend to get sidetracked.
probably first up, though.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you all for the question. We will not be here next week because you'll be in Helen, right? So
Yep.
a couple weeks from now, maybe. We'll see you guys later. Thank you.
See ya. Ears are sweaty.